Now we start by sitting upright. The head is gently suspended from above. Body is relaxed at ease. Remaining upright while allowing all the soft parts of your body to sink, to melt, to relax in their own time and way. Taking a few deep, long, comfortable breaths. Allow your breath to gradually sink down into the belly. Softening your eyes, gently smiling a little bit. Receiving all of yourself and whatever there is in this moment with a sense of openness, kindness, compassion. And breathing in, feeling your legs. Breathing out, allow your legs to relax, to soften. Feel all the various tense spots that are in your legs dissolve. you will find that all these little pockets of tension, they dissolve naturally just because you bring your awareness there. Not because you do anything to them. Being there, seeing, allowing is enough. Again, breathing in, feeling your belly. Breathing out, softening, releasing the belly. Let there be a willingness to be with the discomfort that you may find in those areas. Opening your heart to them. Not going into reactivity, neither pushing nor indulging. Just feeling, allowing, softening around the experience. Giving it enough space so it can dissolve. What you want to do is kind of release this mental habit of squeezing around the experiences. And breathing in, feeling your heart, your chest. Breathing out, softening, releasing the heart, the chest. See if you can become aware of not so much your experiences, but how you go into relationship with them. What's your relationship with tension, with pain? And what happens if you change your relationship from one of resistance and control to one of openness, softness, kindness? And breathing in, feeling your shoulders and your arms. Breathing out, softening, releasing through your shoulders, your arms. breathing in, feeling your head, the brain, and breathing out, releasing, softening around the head and the brain. Giving space, gradually letting go of the obsession to be in control, of being the doer in this practice. Instead, giving space to your body, allowing it to go through its process, being here as an observer, as a seer. You can see quite clearly for yourself how your body responds to the absence of being commandeered around, controlled. Instead, being received as it is. And breathing in, feeling the entire body as one unit of feelingness, of aliveness. And breathing out, releasing, softening around it. Allowing it to be as it is. relating to the experience of your body with sincerity, being honest with yourself. Notice the difference whether an experience is uncomfortable because it by itself is uncomfortable, or because of the way you relate to it. This is something each and everybody can see directly for themselves. There's not even a need to think about it. You can just look. Are you approaching your body with openness or with resistance? Just remaining aware how sensations arise, change, and pass all throughout the body. And notice how your attention naturally moves from sensation to sensation. Just being present with your body. Connecting body and mind, letting go of every thought about the future or the past. Maintain the connection. Just knowing how the attention freely wanders through the body, from feeling to feeling, without any effort. But instead of being aware of the realm of sensations, let's shift to the realm of sounds. Just notice how your attention moves from sound to sound, naturally, without any effort. Just listening to the surrounding. Just knowing, what am I paying attention to right now? What am I aware of right now? What am I doing right now? In this second. Notice how your attention doesn't just go from sound to sound, but also back to feelings, then back to sounds. And sometimes it also goes to thoughts. And thoughts, just like feelings or sounds, arise, change, and pass, all by themselves. There's nothing you need to do about your thoughts. You can just watch them arise and pass. Word after word, image after image. Just like sounds, just like sensations, being in a constant flux. Where is my attention right now? Feeling, hearing, thinking. What am I aware of? Gradually, in your own time, you can slowly come back. Open your eyes, gently stretch a little bit if you like. All right. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you. So today's topic arose from a conversation I've had with a friend not too long ago, who, just like myself, struggles with headaches every now and then. And those headaches, they can be quite severe. So the idea is pain management as a topic, right? And of course, you know, there are always two options that you have. The first one is to escape the pain and, for example, take a painkiller or, you know, do something about it in some way. And that's a perfectly good option. Yes. Many times, the pain can be so severe, so difficult to handle, that the best thing to do is manage as best as you can. Take some medicine or something like that. So pain management is the first option. Of course, also that includes prevention as well. How you deal with your pain, like understanding where it comes from, maybe reducing the things that lead up to it, and encouraging the things that help alleviate it. That's already a good idea. Yes. So for example, maybe the pain, the headaches, they may arise from tension in your back, or they may arise from just a lack of exercise, just a lack of strength, just a lack of stretching, a lack of balance in your body. There's a whole lot of things that can be done about that. You could go to the chiropractor, you can get massage, you can go to the gym, you can visit yoga classes. So on that front already you can do a whole lot. You can also change your diet. Maybe some of the headaches that arise as a result from our diet. The most common one perhaps is a headache that you get from a hangover or something like that. That's easily taken care of. Just don't drink that much, or don't drink. And you don't get that problem anymore, you know. But we like to forget. A lot of people like to forget, you know. So even though they've had horrible hangovers and they hate it when they have it, they just go back to the cause of the hangover and just keep engaging it. So of course, that's one way, is pain management. The other has nothing to do with management. It's not a solution that is around managing your pain or coping with it in some way. It's much more a method that is, first of all, based on investigating the relationship that you have to your pain. And you can really only investigate that when the pain is present. It isn't really helpful or useful, or it doesn't get you much benefit if you think about how you relate to your pain while the pain's not there. You have to do it while it is there, because that's when it becomes most obvious. So what is your kind of thinking and feeling about once you feel, for example, the onset of a headache? And you know, those are the signs it's starting. Then what are you doing internally about that pain once it begins to arise in your being? For example, what I find myself do very often naturally is, because I've done it so often, is resist. It's like my nervous system says, no, not that again. Oh my God, it's about to start again. You know, I'll have 2 really bad days or 3 really bad days, something like that. So that's the first kind of thing that you could notice, is the way you contract around the idea of experiencing a headache, of you experiencing a headache, you know. There's plenty of resistance. And not only is there resistance in the mind, but also in the body, in the nervous system. So the resistance that you've had many times over in your mind is very well embodied. Your body is just doing what your mind has been doing over and over. And so the body is tense, it goes into protective positions. Maybe you start stretching too much, you start like doing a lot of stuff to kind of get rid of your headache. I would notice myself, for example, starting to stretch my neck and massage my neck a lot more when the headache comes, which is a sign of, oh no, I don't want this. I don't want to experience this. I want to get rid of it as fast as I can. And I try to kind of massage it away or stretch it away or, you know, sleep it away or something like that. And unfortunately, that falls into the category of management and coping. It doesn't fall into the category of release and opening up to the experience, which is I think it's the most difficult thing on this path, to be honest. It's to open up to your experience of suffering, no matter what that is. Maybe a headache, right? Headache can be particularly bad. I don't know if a lot of people do have these kind of really severe headaches that really knock you out. You become dysfunctional. You can't do anything anymore. You can't walk. Walking hurts. Sleeping hurts. Everything hurts. You even have a headache in your dreams. You can't escape it. It's like torturous. You can't think. Noise, sound, everything is too much. And it sometimes hurts like you think dying would be better now. Just get me out of this. Your only thought is that it's, I want this to stop, I want this to stop, I want this to stop. Yeah. And in some situations, even painkillers don't work. Then you're there and you've just eaten a painkiller and you can't have another one, and it just breaks through the painkiller and it just keeps nagging you. Or maybe you have a lot of appointments throughout that day and you need to do a lot of things, or many things go wrong and you can't escape those appointments and you have to get out, maybe into the heat, maybe into a crowded waiting room with other people, and it's noisy and it's bright and unbearable, but you have to do it. So it's almost like life is forcing you into a different position. You have to deal with this pain differently than you have ever done. And again, don't get me wrong, I think it's the most difficult thing a human being can do, is to learn to open up to the thing that we do not want to experience at all. Pain, suffering. There's a couple of things. Losing your reputation is another one. You could open up to that, or you could fight it. You could manage it, or you could open up to the experience of what it means for your self-image to be destroyed. Losing reputation, what's another one? Pain. Not getting what you want, or being presented with what you don't want to be presented with, in whatever shape or form. Hearing nice things, we like that, like being confronted with hearing bad news or something like that. We don't want to experience that. Or just having thoughts about, like, what ifs, rumination. What could happen with you? What will happen with you? You don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen with them. And it can freak us out to the point where we can't sleep at night. What are people thinking about you? What's their opinion of you? Do they still like you? Have they unfollowed you, unsubscribed from you? So all this is variations of pain and suffering can be associated to these circumstances. Now, one, you can go into managing, and I think most people just go into managing. Let's face it. I think most of us use management, pain management as some way to deal with it, some way to tackle it. So when the reputation is broken, we try to fix it. When there's a noise that bothers us, we try to, put on noise-canceling headphones or do this or do that. And this goes to show that we really don't like to suffer. We don't want to experience suffering. And the problem with that is that as long as you ignore suffering and you kind of shut yourself off from it in some way, it usually persists. Because it can't be solved as long as you're not looking at it. But if you were to change your approach and actually look at your suffering while it is there and take it as an opportunity and see, how am I relating to the experience that is given to me right now in this moment? And so what would you then find? You would find, if you were bold enough to actually look and sustain your looking, you would find that it is not the situation that is problematic and painful, but it is the way you relate to it. And it's really subtle, because in the beginning it will definitely appear like, no, it's the thing that hurts me. It's the noise that hurts me. It's my knee that hurts me. But actually it's the other way around. It's you hurting your knee. It's you disturbing the noise. It's your attention going to somewhere and then squeezing it, as I just mentioned during the guided meditation. Your attention goes somewhere and then you try to control that experience in some way because you don't want to be hurt by it. So you might be squeezing it, trying to protect yourself from it. You even do this with your muscles. So if the knee hurts, you're tensing up around it. If your lower back hurts, you become even more tense around it. You protect yourself, trying to kind of create that kind of shield, and you'd want to do exactly the opposite. Release your protective mechanism around the experience of truth and life as it is, unfiltered right now. And that includes darkness, misery, pain, death, all the bad stuff, all the things you do not want. You only want the good stuff. Birth, but not death, please. You want health, but you don't want illness. You want youth, but you don't like old age. You want success, but you really don't like failing. But the fact is you can't have one without the other. Like one belongs, in fact, to the other. That's the dualism. It's basic dualism of life. That's how life functions. It functions because of an oscillation between polarities. So the energy can only be alive because it oscillates between extremes, you could say. And it is one pinnacle point that leads to the arising of the next. So it is due to noise that we are actually able to recognize silence and appreciate it. So that's how life operates. You breathe in, you also breathe out. The problem with that is that you relate to these two phases as follows. The in-breath, you really like it. You want it to last forever. And the out-breath, you really hate it. And you'd rather not experience that. So that creates a problem, doesn't it? Because you'll have to breathe out. Why? Because you really loved the in-breath. That's why you have to breathe out. Is you got yourself into various troubles in your life, didn't you? Who got you there? It's your own decisions. You at one point thought, it's going to be awesome, let's do this. And it got you into trouble. Not immediately, but as a chain of results later on. And you noticed, oh, wow, wish I wouldn't have done that. But at one point in time, you thought, this is going to be great. I really need to do this. Think of marrying, perhaps the most popular example. You marry someone, why? Because you think, this is the best thing ever, it's going to last forever, and we're going to be happy forever after. But life doesn't work that way. It's because you marry that you get to experience the suffering of marriage. One doesn't exist without the other. The problem is not that this is the case. The problem is how you relate to it. You think, I want marriage, and then I only want happy ever after. I do not want anything other than that. You're unrealistic. You suffer because you ignore truth. You want to live a magazine lifestyle where you have a nice picture of a person on a beach drinking a cocktail. And that's the only picture you see. You don't see the other thing. You don't see the mosquitoes. You don't see that it took like 3,000 photos to get it right. And the hours of editing that photo later on. You didn't see the trash on the beach. You didn't have, the dog poop around, the smell of it. You didn't see all that. You didn't experience all that. And then imagine you spend the rest of your life as that picture, living in the hammock with that cocktail. What would it turn into? Well, your worst hell, suffering. That's the way life is. It's dual. But the rejection of one part of the coin, the rejection of the dark side, the shadow side of life, gets us into trouble because we constantly keep chasing what we consider good. And we don't see that it is the very thing that we consider to be good that gets us into trouble over and over and over and over again. So what's the solution then? First of all, we kind of have to move. We have to manage. You can't do anything about that. You'll have to make choices. It's part of life. The problem is to attach your idea of happiness to those choices. Oh, if I move to the island, my life will be happy and will be great, and I will experience a continuous rain, a downpour of bliss from that moment on. Let go of that idea. Instead, no, it doesn't matter. If I move to the island, I will suffer the island. Simply know that. If I lie down in the hammock, I will start to suffer the hammock. If I change my posture during meditation, I will suffer that new posture. Right? Doesn't matter how many times you change your posture, it's just the next suffering. It's not the solution to all of your problems. It's just another suffering. Like marriage, it's just another suffering. It's a different form of suffering, but still, nonetheless, it's a suffering. And so is everything in life. Its own specific way of suffering comes with it, no matter what you decide. You'll experience relief and then suffering again, and then relief again, and then suffering again without an end. But there is a way out, yes? And that's to be found in the second way of actually dealing with pain, with suffering, with stress. And it is through the experience itself, by not ignoring it, by not pushing it away, not trying to get rid of it, but by actually understanding it. You can only understand it or comprehend it deeply if you look at it. And then you will begin to understand that it's not the way things are that's a problem. It's how you relate to the way things are that poses the problem. That makes it bad. It's not, you don't need to blame marriage. You don't need to blame birth because it leads to death, or marriage because it leads to divorce. That's just normal. But you need to blame the idea that you think things need to be stable. Because they're not. Nothing is. And also let go of the idea that you are in charge of circumstances. and your body, because you're not. Are you beating your heart? No, that's one of the most powerful things to reflect on. Who's beating your heart? There can be a quite terrifying reflection because it really shows you fast that it's not you doing that. So what if that thing that makes your heart go suddenly decides that that's it? Enough. It's not going to be you that decides that. It's something else. The same goes for your liver, your spleen, your kidneys, your digestive system, your cancer cells. Like everything in your body, the viruses around you, it's not that they enter you because you've decided it's a good time to get a virus. It just does it. Food poisoning, same thing. You actually ate it because it smelled wonderful and it tasted really good, and then again it leads just to the next suffering. So the way out of suffering is not by managing it. That's all I'm saying. Really, just okay, let's just summarize the past, 15 minutes of me ranting along. It's just suffering doesn't stop by managing it. It persists by managing it. You may manage it really well, so you're really well at adapting to the changes, and that's good. It's a good thing. That means you're living your life intelligently. Why? So you're not getting yourself into trouble that is really not necessary. Like that's where we want to start the spiritual path, really. Just clean up your act in a way that all the unnecessary suffering you're currently experiencing falls away and your life becomes peaceful and manageable so that you have time and space for meditation. That's the first thing, really. My teacher always says, be normal. This is the thing first people need to learn, to be normal. And you all know what that means. Your heart knows. What does it mean for me to be normal? It just means to not cause yourself unnecessary trouble and others. Stop lying. Stop pretending. Be truthful, be honest. Carry your cross. Do it well. Instead of constantly trying to avoid and being clever about things, actually confront it, deal with it, and then solve it. Rather than leaving your house to be a mess, clean it up. But it's far more easy to keep my own house really messy and my own family really messy and then go run around on the streets and yell at other people that they need to clean up their acts. That's by far more easy. It's so much more easy to tell others what they should be doing so I can avoid it. So that's the very first thing. Do the thing I want others to do and do it properly. You don't want people to be full of hate? Well, stop hating those people then. Be the first guy that drops the hate. That's very common nowadays. That's why I mentioned, blaming people because they're so hateful. Not noticing that's a pure projection. That I hate those people who are being so hateful. And if I could have all the political power, I would just kick them out and I'll just put them all in prison. Well, it doesn't work that way, does it? So we have to address our own inadequacies first. We have to manage them wisely. Once you manage them, you have enough space and time and energy to actually deal with suffering in a constructive way and allow it to be dissolved. And you can do that by simply seeing it. That's all it takes. It sounds really simple. Almost sounds too simple. What you need to do is you need to see it so deeply, so thoroughly that you understand there is no problem there. And so we start with easy stuff. If you feel hungry
and you have to wait for some food. Let's say you have to wait another 30 minutes before your delivery comes or something. And you get really nervous. Then you feel that sense of nervousness. Embrace it. Open up to it. See it for what it actually is. Where is its center? So you want to bring your awareness into that little knot that you feel in your belly, that discomfort, that agitation. And keep zooming in. Bring your awareness to it. Try to find, is there anything to it? Does it actually really exist the way it appears right now? And as you investigate and you open up to it, you're curious about it, you will find something interesting happen. Begins to dissolve. Right there, because it seems, because you're looking. Because you're not avoiding it anymore. Because as you look at it, you also take out the resistance, right? You're not saying anymore, I don't want to have this, I don't want to see this, I don't want to feel this. You actually say, I do want this. I want to actually understand this. So it has to be there for me to look at it, to really understand it, to zoom in, put it under a microscope. And the result of it is, it dissolves. It doesn't really dissolve because of your looking that much. It dissolves because your resistance is gone. Your leaning against it is gone. You're opening up to it. You open your heart to it. That's what that means. And with headache, to be a bit more specific, this works the same way, though my own personal skill to break through the really bad ones is not given. I find it to be too hard, actually, personally, to break through the headaches that are like hellish. I can't. In that case, I just rather prefer to take a painkiller and lie down and sleep and rest. Get some rest. But if the headache isn't that bad, sometimes I decide, well, don't take a painkiller. And I instead use it as a practice. And that's then what I do. Okay, I would sit down quietly and I bring my attention there and I just notice how I would resist internally and then gradually open up to the experience of the headache. And I do this by relaxing, releasing the tension in my forehead, in my eyes, and then I bring my awareness there to the point where I feel there is the headache. And I try to search where is the center of this particular feeling that I'm looking at right now. And then I zoom in. I go with my awareness, I'm zooming in. And it's always the same thing, I don't find the center. There is no center, there's just a disbanding, a dissolving of that feeling which was previously really pronounced, really strong. But as I dive in deeper and I keep looking and I keep opening up to it, and I release the resistance, that feeling dissolves more and more. And then you can bring that into higher and higher levels. Just work with more and more of a challenge. If you can release the small stuff, then you can release bigger stuff. You keep expanding your comfort zone. Your skill level grows like that. So you can bring release into more and more difficult scenarios. That's the idea of the path. That's what we cultivate. How can you bring release, softening, opening, seeing clearly the truth of your situation at this moment into ever more challenging scenarios? And you will know what's your most challenging scenario right now in your life. Where are you losing it? Where do you lose mindfulness? Where do you find it impossible to stay with yourself and actually look at what's happening within yourself? Maybe you're having a conversation with your spouse or something like that, and it's a really unpleasant conversation, and all you want is to teach him or her a lesson. And you want to tell them what's up, and you can't wait until it's your next turn to speak. And all the while, you're so busy just waiting for your turn to say something that you don't hear the other person at all. You don't even want to hear them. They don't deserve to be heard. They're just stupid after all. They have no idea what they're doing. I know what's up. I know the truth. So your awareness, your attention moves out of you at that moment. You forget yourself. You just dive into that ocean of suffering in that moment. You can't maintain mindfulness or awareness within yourself. So maybe that's beyond your pay grade right now. You're not able to bring awareness into a situation like that yet. So what can you do? Maybe you want to go to the store, you buy some chocolate, but they don't have it. Does that upset you? Can you release that? I was hoping for some chocolate, but no, it doesn't exist. And then you release. Become soft again. Just noticing the pain around that experience. Maybe you can handle more than that already, because you've been practicing a lot. So you stay with yourself. You notice, when does the mind or the body contract around the experience that is given to me right now? And can I release that contraction? You could really say that this is all there is to the whole path. That's it. That's what release is. That's what letting go is. Can you release your own suffering? Can you take away the suffering that exists in you on top of what is true? Because what is true won't go away. But what is not true will go. And what is not true is your suffering on top. It isn't based on what's real. It's based on fiction, on holding, on just old patterns. So try just that. Next time you feel slightly annoyed, or your body is in pain as you sit still in meditation, there's some pains in your body, just bring your awareness to that pain very gently. All it takes is for you to look, to see clearly, and to allow for that experience to be there, to take off all these layers of resistance and tension around it, and then watch what happens. Just looking, seeing, allowing, and it will start to dissolve. In the beginning, if it helps, you can combine that with your breathing. As you breathe in, you see. As you breathe out, because of the nature of the out-breath, there is something about the out-breath. With it comes this sense of around the experience that you're feeling. A bit of a sense of softening, of releasing. But it's not required. The seeing is enough. You don't need to do fancy stuff with your breathing. It's just in the beginning, it helps you to guide yourself a little bit towards that. All right? So this is all that comes to mind for this topic today. Admittedly, it's a really difficult one. Like, pain is the most challenging experience to accept and to open up to, and to open your heart to, and then let it in with, to receive it with love is not so easy at all. But really worthwhile. It's a good thing to train. Okay? Any questions?